Welcome back yet again to the Final Fantasy VII Materia Color Challenge. Things are really starting to heat up now, since we finally got access to the full party as well as the tiny Bronco, opening up a lot of the world. This is part 4, so if you're catching this series for the first time, I would recommend watching it from the beginning. Links to the part 1 video in a playlist are in the description and a pinned comment. This is the tail end of Disc 1. There's only one major dungeon and a handful of bosses left to contend with before a major shift in the party. So before that happens, need to take full advantage of my full party status. Just so everybody remembers what color each character is assigned to, here's a handy visual to show that for you. Let's get started cleaning up all the remaining content on Disc 1. Previously, the party escaped from Rocket Town on the tiny Bronco, along with new member Captain Green. The little plane can't fly anymore, but it works just fine as a boat, which is perfect for our needs. The game leaves you right in the perfect spot after the events of Rocket Town to explore this new continent far to the west. This is a pretty fun little optional side story with a twist, one that requires a little bit of party management beforehand. We're going to make sure our members have the strongest possible weapon, some decent armor, and accessories that actually do something. At the top of this little mountain, there is a scene with the party where suddenly Green Ninja comes yelling from behind and stops them. Mr. Blue is suspicious of this whole situation. Green Ninja tries to convince them that the area up ahead is familiar to her and quite dangerous, but Mr. Blue isn't buying. Then, suddenly, a couple Shinra soldiers come out of nowhere. They sound like they were looking for someone else, but are perfectly happy to nab Mr. Green instead. Green Ninja is like, "Nuh-uh, it wasn't me," but she runs off when the enemies attack, and that's when we notice something unusual. Nobody can use their abilities. No magic, no commands, only attack an item. So if it isn't obvious, all the materia is gone. After defeating these Shinra troops that love putting people to sleep, Mr. Blue puts 2 and 2 together and blames Green Ninja. She ran off to the north. Guess we need to follow her. We're going to have a bad time for the rest of the game with no materia at all. The path to the north of this continent is long and pretty harrowing. The enemies here can be powerful, especially these birds. Man, these guys kicked my ass like whoa. But these flying bugs here also have a poison that made things difficult for Mr. Blue. No materia means no AoE abilities, no crowd control, no ways to speed up combat whatsoever except limits and items. It took some doing, but eventually a town comes into view over the horizon, and as Mr. Green enters, he sees Green Ninja across the stream. As they lock eyes, Green Ninja shouts and runs away. Here begins the game of cat and mouse. Now, there is no materia to be had in this town for the duration of this quest, but I did spin the Support Plus wheel just in case. So, the Support Plus results for Wutai are Summon and Summon. Alrighty then, guess our blue boys are a little red today. Except they aren't, because they can't use materia. Anyway, let's go after Green Ninja already and solve this dilemma. The weapon shop won't sell me anything. Probably could have used a little power boost right now. Oh well. This fancy shop here is the famed Turtle's Paradise, and inside we see some familiar faces. Elena jumps to attention, ready to fight. Mr. Green and crew ready up as well. Then Reno is like, nah. Turns out these guys are 100% in vacation mode, phones turned off, Slack set to offline. They won't lift a finger for anything. Elena, the newbie with something to prove, seems discontented with this, but she settles down and goes back to drinking. Anyway, let's leave these guys to their partying for a bit and keep looking for Green Ninja. The item shop is across the bridge here next to the save point. They have some decent stuff, to be honest. These items that cast tier 3 spells would actually be really cool, but I'll avoid using them to keep to the spirit of the challenge. There's also this unguarded chest over here, and as we've seen elsewhere, for some reason nobody cares if you take stuff without asking, as long as it's from a chest. This is an MP absorb materia, and Green Ninja doesn't let us keep it for very long. Well, at least we found her. This house by the river has an old man and his grandchild. The old man is clearly suffering from dementia, but the kid doesn't hide anything. What's this about a girl coming in here? Opening up this little partition and... well, there she is! Damn, she's fast though. The path going left leads to a big pagoda. This big house on the right is open and has this nifty resting spot inside. Don't mind if I do. I'm sure the owner of this house doesn't care if some random strangers sleep in their guest room. After picking up some secret hidden items, Mr. Green talks to the master of the house, who's napping in this room over here. He's pretty suspiciously defiant in denying that such a character as Green Ninja has been around here. When he starts talking about Shinra and that he doesn't want any trouble here in Wutai with them, that's when she strikes. Greninja can't help herself but criticize this guy's lack of conviction in resisting Shinra. Oh, she's also his daughter. Greninja runs off again, and Godo, her father, is all pissed off now and tells us to leave. No place to go but back outside, where the big 5-storied pagoda is. Tried popping in, but no dice. We will be going back there later, but they actually don't let Mr. Green enter right now. Guess we need to head back into town to find our little ninja. Hey, look at that. That pod outside Turtle's Paradise just moved. Mr. Blue and Ms. Yellow get in position blocking escape routes, and Mr. Green gets into his best pot-punching stance and goes to town. After a few punches, Greninja comes flying out and tries to get away, only to get caught. She finally gives in and allows the party to escort her to where the materia is. And at that very moment, some Shinra troops come running and enter Turtle's Paradise. It turns out that he is here. Uh-oh. Reno and Rude are not interested in helping to look for him, but when the troops run off cursing the unprofessional Turks, Elena can't take it anymore and runs off as well. Reno lets her go, saying to let her have her way. The scene cuts to Greninja's house as she leads Mr. Green downstairs. She gives her little sob story about why she is so obsessed with materia and wants to restore Wutai to its former glory. Mr. Green gives some sympathy, and Greninja says to pull the left lever. So he follows her instructions, and a comically large cage drops down around Mr. Blue and Ms. Yellow. Once a thief, always a thief, I guess. She mocks the party and runs off, giving a hint about where she's going. Something about steel. Flipping the lever back lifts the cage, so not the most effective trap in the world. In case anybody was wondering, the other lever also drops the same cage. So Mr. Green runs off looking for her, again. Though he does stop in to visit the Turks for a minute, they have nothing interesting to say. So the trick now is this bell next to Godo's house. Ringing the bell opens a secret door just under it, and inside we see Greninja being kidnapped by some black ninja, and Mr. Green exclaims, "You!" Now we finally see who he is. It's Corneo from back in the Wall Market section of Part 1. This disgusting lecher who spends his entire fortune and free time scouring the underbelly of Midgar for hot girls that he can kidnap and do gross illegal things to. And now he's got Greninja, who is so very clearly underage. You've gone too far this time, Corneo. You're going to get my channel demonetized. Oh, also he has Elena. Anyway, we chase him into the next room, which is this golden statue room in Godo's place, where Shinra troops show up to corner Corneo as he escapes. Except he does this fancy cartoonish dodge and slips past while the troops attack the party instead. Quick nap in the guest room, and then Mr. Green heads outside where he finds Reno and Rude. Reno makes a limited time offer of a truce while hunting Corneo. Then he says that Corneo ran off to the most obvious place. Not a great hint, but it is actually a place we haven't even visited yet, the big-ass statue in the mountain. So now we are finally heading to where there will be some random encounters. There is also a pretty nasty boss up ahead, so I think it would be in my best interest to swap the party around. I'd check out my other members and figure that Ms. Red probably would do good work thanks to her strong limit breaks, and checking Red 13, what the actual hell? His weapon is broken strong, why didn't I realize this? Alright, so Red is coming in. Now with a rebalanced party more focused on offense, the team ships out for the most obvious place, the Dachau statue. Reno and Rude are waiting here, and they suggest splitting up. They can be found in all the various dead ends on the mountain, and they chastise Mr. Green for wasting time. But you were here first? I actually accidentally went the right way and found Corneo on the palm in front of the big face. And here we see Elena and Greninja tied to the eyes of the face. Corneo does his typical thing where he says very uncomfortable things about the girls he has lined up and then sets up to choose one of them. Greninja is not having any of this, which leads Corneo to choose her. Again, she's definitely underage, dude. Do you really need to add that to the charges? Now, Mr. Green and co. come charging down. Ms. Red actually has several unique lines here related to her experience with this creep. I wouldn't doubt Ms. Yellow does too. Red 13 is just kind of third-wheeling it. After a back and forth, Corneo calls his buddy Raps, the companion to his previous buddy, Apps, and a fight begins. This guy is tough with a capital T. Seconds after the fight starts, he drops the bomb by casting Arrow 3 on Red, who survives with literally 1 HP. I don't think this is a demi effect either, it was just sheer luck that he didn't die on the spot. This fight, obviously nobody has materia, so it truly comes down to pumping out as much damage as possible with limit breaks and using items. One could use items that act as spell effects, such as the ones sold in the shop, but they aren't strictly necessary, they would just increase damage output. And that actually didn't turn out to be that important, because the fight wasn't even that long, less than 2 minutes real time. Did have to use quite a few items though, especially to heal up after casts of Arrow 3. Thankfully, the team pulled it off despite the odds, and got a nice chunk of XP, gil, and a peace ring. Then Corneo starts his routine again, that one gag about how the villain only acts like he's given up because he's sure he's won. He flips Green Ninja and Elena upside down, threatening to let them get squashed on the rocks below. But Reno shows up to even the odds, and as he distracts Corneo, out comes Rude from the background who knocks him off the ledge. Reno turns the tables on Corneo, only to let him drop to the ground below. Either he's dead or captured, I guess. The Turks get a call from the company asking them to capture Mr. Green. Another fight, perhaps? Nah, Reno goes back to vacation mode. Guess we're off the hook this time. The girls are let down and things finally calm down a bit. Green Ninja uses her ninja moves to replace everybody's materia, though Mr. Green comments that they aren't in the right configuration. And with everything resolved, this brings the chapter of Wutai to a close. Pretty tough at this level, but we pulled it off. And Green Ninja even lets us have the MP Absorb materia she stole during the quest. Let's take a peek at the materia loadouts. Mr. Green has a whole weird array of stuff, and, I guess we have Green 13 now. Looks like Ms. Red just got Mr. Blue's loadout. Well, this will take some time to fix. Thanks a lot, Green Ninja. I would say this is cause to put her on the bench for a while, but turns out there is more to do in Wutai, and she is center stage for that little quest. For the moment, I rearrange the party and materia loadouts and head back inside to clean up some looting, some shopping at the previously unavailable weapon shop, a few items on Dachau, and in the cat house is the HP Absorb materia to go with our MP Absorb we got before. After all that, let's swap in Green Ninja and gear up for another doozy of a side quest. Green Ninja is flying solo for this, so need to make sure she can fend for herself. Thankfully, she has the best color for doing just that, green. That gives her access to a lot of flexibility in terms of combat tricks. A rough outline of the tools I'm giving her. Restore, definitely. Cure will be vital for this. Poison, because as it turns out, every single one of these fights will be vulnerable to poison. Time, for haste. That will increase her action economy and let her keep up. Some generic elemental nukes, won't be using too many of those. And that'll do it for now. She also has gravity, but it actually doesn't work on most of the bosses here. More on that later. So let's take our newly kitted out ninja girl and go visit the 5-storied pagoda. This is a mini dungeon that is only accessible to Green Ninja. Nobody else is allowed to climb it. It consists of 5 boss battles, but there is no limit to leaving to heal and come back between battles. The first boss is this guy, Gorky. When Green Ninja talks to him, he challenges her to climb the tower, and then some kid named Shake comes down to witness the battle. Gorky is the master of power, so he does his power change, and the battle begins. He is a flying demon thing who loves to spam the spell Barrier. No matter, Slow and Steady is the name of the game for this quest. Green Ninja tries to poison this guy early, but it doesn't stick, so she gives up on that plan. This first fight is honestly a lot of growing pains, figuring out the rhythm of these fights. Green Ninja keeps heals rolling while letting Limit Break charge and hitting back when she gets the chance. Greased Lightning does pretty respectable damage, especially when it crits. Gorky likes to use regen as well, which is annoying, especially since in this game it doesn't show numbers, so no way to know how effective it is at healing. But eventually he runs out of MP, which means Green Ninja can just whittle him down with further limit breaks. He goes down after a short time, ending the first floor of the pagoda. Now, Green Ninja takes a rest in the nearby manor, and at this point I realize I could optimize her gear a little better. I swap her armor for the Eden coat, which has higher defenses and way more materia slots. The second floor boss is Shake, the little kid with the attitude who watched the first battle. Another witness comes down from the floor above. This time it is Chekhov.
Could you tell me where the nuclear vessels are?
She offers to watch this battle between Green Ninja and Shake. Shake is the master of speed, so he does a speed change, and the battle begins. Shake is this little penguin dude. He definitely is fast and hits harder than Gorky, the power boss, did. But now Greninja uses Barrier for some protection and actually sticks Poison. And honestly, Poison alone won this battle. Once I realized Cure 1 is enough to heal Greninja mostly to full, I just kept using that to heal between blows. And the Poison deals so much damage I didn't need to use anything else, not even limit breaks. Just heal and let Poison do its job, and Shake went down pretty easily. Chekhov heads upstairs to prepare, and Greninja heads back outside for a quick nap. One minor change before the next battle, swapping accessory for the gem ring. This will be extremely important. Another guy comes down from the floor above to witness, this time some guy named Staniv. Chekhov is the master of magic, so she does a magic change, and the battle begins. This weird monster is actually really slow at first. In fact, it spent a very long time taking no actions whatsoever except counterattacks. It counters with Stare Down, which would ordinarily paralyze, but the gem ring nullifies that effect completely. Without it, would have been a much tougher battle. At this point, the basic strategy is unchanged. Stick Poison, heal when necessary, let things play out. However, Chekhov does actually have a nasty trick later in the fight. It spams Absorb, which drains a little bit of HP from Greninja. And this drain is more potent than the ticks of Poison and happens more often. So this time, Greninja needs to actually hit back. But that is what Greased Lightning is for. A few limit breaks later, and Chekhov is down for the count.
Come on, Chekhov, wake up.
Once again, need a quick nap outside before continuing on. Now we come to the 4th floor boss, Staniv. Nobody comes down to witness this one. Staniv is the master of weapon, so he does a weapon change, and the battle begins. And this was the easiest fight so far. This guy does like no damage at all. He's slow, Poison kicks his ass, and he even put the Sadness status on Greninja. Sadness, for those not in the know, increases defense, so she takes even less damage than she was already taking. Late in the fight, I realized I could hit defend and just stand there while he died of poison. Ridiculous this guy is the second to last fight. Alright, now that the 4th floor is cleared, all the previous bosses come up and praise Greninja for her good performance thus far. But there is one more floor, the final boss of the Wutai 5-storied pagoda. Him! Just a sec guys, need a quick nap. The biggest prep for this coming fight was another swap to the accessory, this time for the Bolt Ring. That nullifies lightning damage. Not strictly necessary, but it does remove one source of damage that would otherwise need to be healed. On the top floor of the pagoda is Greninja's father, Godo. Big shock, nobody saw this coming at all. I was pretty scared of this fight, but it went weirdly smoothly. Poison once again wrecking shop. Being immune to trine damage thanks to the Bolt Ring went a long way. He also didn't heal nearly as often as he probably should have, but his cure is a counterattack, and he can also counter with sleep, which is what he did most often. This is the only boss in the tower vulnerable to gravity effects, so I ran Demi in this fight, but honestly it wasn't nearly as effective as just poison. Probably 80% of my damage output was just poison ticks, and the rest of the time was healing through his attacks. He cast sleep a weirdly high amount, but it was pretty meaningless since he would just wake her up with Beast Sword immediately every time. In the end, Greninja smacked her father around and won effortlessly with a pretty cheesy turtle strut. Good game, Papa. He drops a truckload of gil and all creation, which is Greninja's level 4 limit break. She's still on level 1, so won't use that until a long time in the future. Both Greninja and Godo are exhausted and laugh at their circumstances. After they come to their senses, Daddy gives his daughter the town's treasured materia, the summon materia Leviathan, which also gives a trophy apparently. Then Greninja lectures her father on the state of Wutai. See, Wutai was once at war with Shinra. After the war, Wutai became a peaceful place, but Greninja wants it to be strong again. Godo admits the state of things is his fault. Personally, I don't see the problem. Shinra is off ruining the world and Wutai is living in peace. Seems like Greninja has her priorities a bit messed up. Anyway, father and daughter come to an understanding, and Godo asks the team to watch over Greninja while they adventure and save the world. And after everybody leaves, Godo stops Greninja and asks her if the team will need their materia after everything is over. Just goes to show, the apple does not far from the tree fall. That might be my most deep-cut Arrested Development reference yet. Well, this is really truly the end for Adventures in Wutai, so time to pack up and start on the next task, which is grinding up Miss Yellow, specifically her limit breaks. This is the one and only opportunity I'm gonna get to unlock her level 4 limit break, so I always make a habit of getting it during this little period. Before starting the grind in earnest, we have to pick up the item, which is at that lone weapon dealer's house on the peninsula. We visited there back in part 3, but couldn't get inside. This guy knows a fair bit about something called the Keystone, which we actually haven't heard of yet, but apparently it's important for getting into the Temple of the Ancients, which we also don't really know too much about yet, just that Rufus was going there. This guy sold the Keystone to Dio, who is storing it at the Gold Saucer. Setting that aside, if we give him a piece of mithril, which we also picked up in part 3, he gives us a reward. One of the options is Great Gospel, Ms. Yellow's level 4 limit break. Great, that's handled. Now let's hit the grind. Here is my general strat for grinding limit breaks. With Ms. Yellow having access to command materia, it actually works out very well. For getting the kills she needs to unlock her next level, enemy skills are perfect. Trine will wipe out entire groups of enemies in one shot. As for grinding out limit break uses to get the next one in a given level, she also has tricks for that, namely Manipulate. She can manipulate some monster and have it smack her over and over, while Mr. Green keeps her healthy. Then, once her limit break is charged, someone hits the enemy to break her Manipulate, and she uses the limit break. Generally guarantees at least one use per battle. Since the numbers are usually pretty low, like 6 or 7 uses, it doesn't take that long. Faster than grinding out kills anyway. For kills specifically, I made sure to do it in a lower level area to not warp the levels of the party too much. The area around Fort Condor was a safe grinding spot. The forests sometimes have groups of 5 show up, usually it's a group of 3 flyers. All in all, this took probably less than an hour total of grinding. The whole Wutai situation took an hour and a half by comparison, so not too terrible. Triple speed helped a lot. Again, not using the battle boost to cheese limit breaks or anything like that, just the speed boost. Nice. So, with Great Gospel successfully acquired, Ms. Yellow is at her peak. Earlier during this process, we also stopped by Bone Village on the North Continent, and while there, we picked up some nice armor, diamond bangles. That will pretty much cover us for armor for the rest of Disc 1. There is also a freebie red materia in the Sleeping Forest, Kujata. Slotting that in Ms. Red for now, but we can't proceed into the forest just yet. Alright, I think this about covers all the optional stuff we can get up to. Time to get back on the main story. That Keystone is the next target. Back in the Gold Saucer again. This time we are loaded with cash, so time to buy that lifetime pass for 30k. Thanks, Godo. The Keystone is located at the Battle Arena, in a little museum off to the side here. When Mr. Green interacts with it, Dio shows up to have a chat. He seems to be under the impression that he owes us, instead of the other way around. So he offers a deal. Play in the battle arena, and win or lose, Mr. Green can have the Keystone. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. So Mr. Green heads into the arena solo to see how much he can do. Being so reliant on one materia color is both a blessing and a curse. It means that if the roulette ever lands on green materia locked, Mr. Green is screwed. But the other colors are freebies. MP reduction is also a killer, which it just so happens I hit quite a few times. Bummer. Things were going relatively smoothly until round 5, this pack of snakes. These things were brutal. Poison melted my HP. My MP was already low from being cut multiple times during casting spells. Even using items, this was quite a hurdle to get past. Eventually, I found that the snakes die in one hit to Ice 2, but that also eats half my MP pool. After getting past them using several ethers, the next round was several wolves, who were much less scary. They did keep reviving each other though, which was annoying. Finally, we get to round 7, which is where things fell apart. I knew when I saw the enemy team this would be bad, because it had these little green bugs. These guys are from Mount Nebel, and they hit extremely hard and fast for regular enemies. It was tough, but I managed to take out both the bugs. But I got greedy and didn't leave myself enough HP to survive another hit from the flyer, and went down before I could heal. Too bad. Round 7 is a pretty good result, but if only I had survived that last hit, I might have gone all the way. Disappointing. Oh well, Dio gives up the Keystone anyway, so that's the main goal accomplished. Let's blow this popsicle stand. What's all this then? The tram is busted. Looks like the team is stranded here in Gold Saucer for a while. Fortunately, Blue Cat shows up and offers to wheel and deal a free hotel stay. And here we have another story recap scene. This is the first opportunity to see the whole party gathered together. They beg Mr. Green to explain what the hell is going on. Hopefully all the viewers at home know this stuff. Sephiroth is after the Promised Land, which may or may not exist. Ancients like Ms. Yellow can intuitively sense when they are near the right place. Sephiroth has one more goal, the Black Materia. We don't know what that is or does yet. And the black cape dudes with tattoos are experiments from Hojo, which makes Red 13 nervous since he also has such a tattoo. At the end of the discussion, Ms. Yellow acts a bit out of character and runs off, which prompts everybody else to go to bed. Red 13 has a moment of vulnerability, which prompts a very unusual reaction from Ms. Red. I guess she was seeing red? Back in Mr. Green's room, he hears a knock at the door, and now is your chance to take a guess at who this date will be with. I'll give you 10 seconds. Put in your votes now. Is it Ms. Red, Ms. Yellow, Green Ninja, or possibly even Mr. Blue? Ready for the big reveal? It's Ms. Yellow! Honestly, this shouldn't surprise you much, since she's been in my party practically the whole game, which led to more dialogue interactions. Anyway, off we go to the Gold Saucer date with Ms. Yellow. First up is the play at Event Square. Mr. Green and Ms. Yellow are roped into starring in the play, which Mr. Green agrees to very reluctantly. I took this opportunity to be as belligerent as possible, which resulted in an angry outburst from Ms. Yellow where she took down Mr. Green and finally the evil Dragon King himself. Good stuff. Well, at least she had fun. Up next is the gondola ride, where you can peek your head out the window at key moments to see little CG cutscenes that look like a roller coaster. This was surely pretty cool in 1997. After several of these scenes, Ms. Yellow goes into what seems like a non sequitur, how much Mr. Green resembles Zack. Once again, we are getting some indications that at the very least, Ms. Red and Ms. Yellow are picking up on Mr. Green having issues with his identity. Ms. Yellow says she wants to meet the real Mr. Green, which he doesn't understand, but I guess he doesn't know about his own mental problems. After the gondola ride, Ms. Yellow suggests going back to the hotel, at which point they spy a certain blue robot cat. No, not that one. Blue Cat is sneaking around and he pulls out the keystone. That little sneak, he's stealing it. Mr. Green calls out to him and a chase begins. You chase him around various parts of the Gold Saucer until he runs to Chocobo Square. That is where he finally shows what he's up to as a Shinra helicopter arrives carrying Tsum, to whom he throws the keystone. Now it all makes sense. Blue Cat was the spy that was reporting to Shinra. Blue Cat admits he is a Shinra employee piloting this robot cat from safety back in Midgar. He doesn't say who he is, but he says he wants to continue as they were. Mr. Green and Ms. Yellow are not at all pleased with the idea of allowing Blue Cat to stay with them, which is when he pulls out his trump card. He has Marlene. I really wanted to see this scene with Mr. Blue in my party. I'm gonna have to replay the game and get him as my date just for that. Anyway, since he has a hostage, it seems we have no choice. Blue Cat stays in the party. The next day, everybody gears up to visit the Temple of the Ancients, with Shinra a few steps ahead thanks to Blue Cat's actions. The party is set to have Ms. Yellow in it, but who else should we bring? Well, I guess let's spin the wheel for Temple of the Ancients real fast and see how that turns out. The results for Support Plus for Temple of the Ancients are Summon again for Mr. Blue and Magic for Blue Cat. Would it be weird to run Blue Cat in my party right now? Nah, I'm sure it's fine. So the party for the temple will be Ms. Yellow and Blue Cat. Surely nothing wrong with that setup. The temple is located just a little ways off the coast of the main central continent to the east. It is this big-ass pyramid poking out of a forest. Can't miss it. How was this difficult for people to find again? And also, let me take this moment to vent another issue I had with Rebirth. Why the hell did they move the temple? Was it really necessary to put it on the North Continent? Yes, that makes the transition between the temple and the Forgotten Capital smoother, but it also alters the geography of the world, which makes it harder to justify it taking place in the same world as this game, or even an alternate timeline. Like, why would a physical structure be in a totally different location? Anyway, that was a little thing that miffed me when I first experienced it. Let's just get to the temple and get started. Outside, I equip Blue Cat with some materia. Gonna have to run added effect poison again. And this time, I decide Restore All would be a solid thing to have as well. There are some pretty tough battles here, so having another source of AoE heals will be big. Alright, with him geared out, let's head inside and get this super important dungeon underway. Ms. Yellow feels some stuff when she gets here. She can sense the spirits of her ancestors all around this place, protecting it. We head inside, only to see Tsung, who is lying wounded by the altar, and he tells us what's up. Sephiroth is inside. Surprise, surprise. He gives the keystone willingly, so we can go check it out for ourselves, but not before Ms. Yellow has a bit of a moment. Seems she and Tsung have a complicated relationship. Well, in we go. This right here is the point of no return. Here we are in the Escher painting. Blue Cat is not impressed. So here's the deal with the fights here. They were really easy, and I think it comes down to doing Wutai first. My party got several levels there, and those fights were quite difficult, especially the ones on the world map on the Wutai continent. These ones are so pathetic by comparison, it must be the intent of the developers to do this part first. The fact that you get a bunch of no materia slot weapons here also does support that. But if you do the temple first, then you can't bring Ms. Yellow to Wutai, and I'm not okay with that. So I always do it first. So exploring this place is a little annoying, since some paths don't lead anywhere when they look like they should, and others look like dead ends but are paths. But there are actually surprisingly few side paths to go down, so it ends up being more linear than it looks. There are these little purple dudes running around, and catching up to them means a free rest and save point. Not a bad deal. This one also has a shop with some basic amenities. Getting through this first room leads to this big bridge with a bunch of C-shaped rocks rolling. Get squished by one and go back to the beginning. Need to hide under the holes in the rocks as they roll over. But the threat isn't so bad since they don't do damage or anything. Mr. Green must be made of some tough stuff. Just reaching the end of the path makes them all disappear, at which point Ms. Yellow runs back to the little pool for a cutscene. There was also a morph materia here, but right now nobody can do much with that. Here we see a view of the past, the moment when Tsung encountered Sephiroth in the deepest chamber of the temple. Tsung is looking at the murals, trying to make sense of them, when suddenly Sephiroth shows up and starts monologuing. And now we hear his plan, or at least some form of it, for the first time, to become one with the life stream. Put a pin in that one, Sephiroth will be very forthcoming with details later. The next area is the big clock room. There are 13 paths here, one for each clock direction, and an additional in the hole below. The entrance is 10, so that leads backwards. 6 and 12 are both paths leading forward, with 6 being the next area and 12 later on, after the first of 2 bosses. The remaining rooms are either blocked paths or chests, with about half the chests containing items and the rest containing monsters. To fall in the pit, you have to be touched by the second hand, which is constantly moving across the room. In the bottom is another unique battle with some dragons, and a chest containing the Nail Bat, which is Mr. Green's no materia slot weapon. The most important of the loot chests on the clock are in Room 5, which is the ribbon, and Room 4, which is the Princess Guard, Ms. Yellow's ultimate weapon. After thoroughly checking all available routes, finally we proceed through Room 6 toward the next area, what I affectionately call the Scooby-Doo room. This purple dude locks the door, and you have to chase him through these doors which lead to seemingly random other doors. The goal is to enter whatever door he will be exiting. There is actually a logic to this, and watching the links carefully will help figure it out. Once you catch him, the door at the top opens, and he becomes another rest and save point. The door on the far right at the bottom leads to the top, so that is a quick way back up. Now, we finally reach the mural room from the vision Ms. Yellow had earlier. And in here, we get more taunting by Sephiroth, and more details to his plan. He reveals what the black materia does. It calls the ultimate destructive magic Meteor. And what he wants to achieve is to use Meteor to cause a grievous wound to the planet, which will trigger its healing response using the lifestream. And if Sephiroth is chilling there at the source of the damage, he can absorb all that spirit energy and become an all-powerful godlike being. So his evil plan to become a god hinges on potentially annihilating the world. Makes a lot of sense. Mr. Green has a freak out here, the creepiest one yet. But he understands what Sephiroth was saying. He wants to drop a big rock from the sky on the planet, and he needs the black materia to do it. But out of nowhere, the screen shakes. Sephiroth does a tee-hee not me, and a big red dragon attacks. This fight was not tough. His attacks did some good damage, but he died so fast. Poison did a lot. Of course, limit breaks did a lot. But it just didn't do much except hit one character at a time for decent damage, which was easily healed by Blue Cat. Big Guard made it even easier. Not too bad. He drops the Bahamut red materia, which is pretty good, and a trophy for some reason. There is this little puzzle box on the far right side of the mural room, and Mr. Green and Ms. Yellow quickly intuit what it's for. This is how to make the black materia. And Ms. Yellow consults with her ancestors and learns that the truth is, interacting with the puzzle box is actually shrinking the temple itself. After doing that enough times, it shrinks the temple enough to be picked up, which is itself the black materia. Mr. Green declares they must figure out a solution to this now, because Sephiroth has no shortage of mooks he can sacrifice to get this task done for him, but they don't have any way to do it safely. Until Blue Cat pipes up. His body is a robot after all, he can be replaced. Well, that settles it. There really isn't another easy solution. They need to trust Blue Cat to get this task done so they can get the black materia away from Sephiroth. Blue Cat says he will stick with the party until they reach a safe way outside, so no need to go on with just two, thankfully. I was legit worried it might make me go with a partial party. Good thing too, this next boss is a doozy. Crossing the clock room straight across to room 12, and this room is already ominous immediately. Mr. Green tries to open the door, and that's when the beast pokes his head out. This is Demon's Gate, or the Demon Wall in any other FF game. And this guy is infamous for being tough for this level. I didn't really get it at first, but boy is that deserved. This thing hits super duper hard. Like one shot from full health if it crits, which happens often enough to matter. Thankfully, I had a pretty important advantage, Ms. Yellow. She was truly responsible for winning this fight. Enemy skills alone account for a lot of that. Big Guard is huge at keeping people alive and keeping up action economy. White Wind as a backup heal is very helpful for when Blue Cat is incapable or dead. And then let's mention the big boy, Great Gospel, her ultimate limit break. It really is huge. It gives a full recovery, which includes both HP and MP, but it also gives a single hit worth of invulnerability. That breathing room made a huge difference. I used it twice in the fight, and in both circumstances, one of my party members was down. I used either the life spell from Mr. Green or a Phoenix Down from Blue Cat, and then hit Great Gospel immediately after the animation started. This works flawlessly because limit breaks ignore the Q. They go on the stack, to use parlance from Magic. Even if the boss is scheduled to act first, the limit break ignores that and jumps the line. Most of the time that isn't particularly relevant unless the limit break would actually end the fight with damage. But for Ms. Yellow, it matters, because all of her limit breaks are support, so her jumping the Q to give a crucial support effect is huge, as it was here. After the battle, there is no real window to enter the menu, which is unfortunate. Blue Cat immediately declares it is time for him to go and save the world. Even a robot cat like him can save everybody. This is a sad goodbye scene. Kind of wasted on a disposable character that literally comes back 2 seconds later, but good attempt. He gives one last fortune to Mr. Green and Ms. Yellow, that they are a perfect compatible couple. Again, wish I had Ms. Red here for this, just to see her reaction. After that, he runs off to do his final duty. While Mr. Green and Ms. Yellow stand outside and watch, Blue Cat performs the actions from within the puzzle to shrink it. And the black materia awaits within the pit that is left behind. Mr. Green jumps down with Ms. Yellow hot on his heels. He claims the black materia and asks if they can use it, but Ms. Yellow says no, it would take a tremendous amount of spirit energy to activate, only possible in the Promised Land, which they assume Sephiroth hasn't found and couldn't possibly, as he isn't truly an ancient. So, right on cue, Sephiroth shows up to poo-poo on them and says he did indeed find the Promised Land. And he somehow forces Mr. Green to give him the materia. And after Mr. Green gives it up, Sephiroth runs off, leaving Mr. Green behind, who flips out and starts to brutally attack Ms. Yellow. Blue Cat shows up and stops him, causing Mr. Green to white out. We see a forest, a familiar-looking one at that. And Ms. Yellow steps out from between the trees. She forgives Mr. Green, but tells him he shouldn't worry. that she will handle Sephiroth and save the planet. She has a plan, and she can do it. She's in the Sleeping Forest, which leads to the City of the Ancients. She leaves Mr. Green, telling him she will be back. Love the confidence, girl. Too bad Sephiroth himself was listening and follows after her. This is Bad News Bears. Mr. Green awakens in Gongaga with Mr. Blue and Ms. Red at his side, and he explains the whole situation. He doesn't want to go because he feels he will just hurt someone again. But Mr. Blue and Ms. Red believe in him and want him to try. And now we do a quick check of the inventory. Yup, there's the ribbon, thankfully, but the armor and weapon she had on is gone. All her materia was returned, though we won't be having a whole lot of use for it going forward. This is it. Ms. Yellow is out of the party from this moment on, and that means no yellow materia. Big bummer. At least she went out on top, being the absolute MVP of the last boss we fought together. Mr. Green gathers up his friends, and it's time to go after Ms. Yellow at the north end of the world, back to Bone Village. This time, the guys here offer to help find a key item called the Lunar Harp. This option was not available before. To find it, you need to place up to 5 of these little workers around the area, then set off a small explosion. The workers will then all face in the direction of the item. This helps you triangulate its position. Fortunately, I also just happen to remember where it is, buried in my lizard brain from childhood, I guess. It's right here, next to the tent on the top level. After picking up the Lunar Harp, we can finally pass through the Sleeping Forest to the area beyond. And now we have to spin the wheel for the Forgotten Capital, particularly for Mr. Blue, as he happens to be in the party right now. The results for Support Plus for the Forgotten Capital are Summon for Mr. Blue and Magic for Blue Cat, same as the temple. Well, I just finished using Blue Cat and I don't feel like changing, so let's just give some nice summon materia to Mr. Blue. At first, I try using Elemental Kujata in the armor and then Bahamut with MP Absorb, but it turns out Elemental doesn't work with Kujata. Weird specific edge case, I guess. So after finally figuring that out, I decide to change it to Elemental Leviathan in the armor instead. This will give him some protection from the upcoming boss. Speaking of, I also give the recently acquired Water Ring to Ms. Red. Alright, the Forgotten Capital doesn't have a whole lot going on at first. Some paths going to pretty interesting looking locales, but not much to actually do there. There is this room with some beds though, where the party suggests taking a little nap. This is how you get the story moving. Night falls, and Mr. Green suddenly awakens, feeling a sensation that Ms. Yellow and Sephiroth are nearby, so now we can get moving towards them. Going back to the entrance, the center path leads the right way. There is this little cool green materia here called Comet, slotting that on Mr. Green. This staircase leading down only appears after sleeping in the beds, and it goes down into this cool underground area that looks kind of surreal. There is one last save point here, the last one on Disc 1. Going down a little ways, now we see Ms. Yellow praying on an altar in the center, and Mr. Green jumps across, alone. As he gets close to Ms. Yellow, suddenly we lose control again, and Mr. Green takes out his blade. It looks as if he will strike Ms. Yellow with his sword, but Ms. Red and Mr. Blue try to yell at him to stop him, which makes him snap out of it. That was close, but Ms. Yellow is not safe. Sephiroth flies down from above and pierces Ms. Yellow in the back. A strange colored materia falls away, bouncing down the steps, dropping into the water below. And then Ms. Yellow collapses in Mr. Green's arms. Mr. Green is devastated, but Sephiroth just laughs it off. What, so you actually have feelings now? Because you are. And Jenova shows up. Jenova life is tough, but not as tough as Demon's Gate, thankfully. She does quite a bit of damage with Aqua Lung, hence the water protection. All her blue attacks are water elemental as well, meaning they deal half damage to Mr. Blue and heal Ms. Red. Mr. Green has to fend for himself, I guess. Bahamut does a tasty amount of damage to her, but unfortunately, since he's new, can only use him once. Ms. Red has a ton of things to use though. I didn't know this at the time, since I lost access to the Sense Materia, but Genova Life is actually weak to Earth. I wish I had been summoning Titan. Stupid me thought it must be weak to lightning due to using so much water stuff. Silly me. I also thought Mind Blow might reduce its MP and prevent it from using Aqua Lung, but that simply didn't work. Look at this massive big shot that Mr. Blue fired off. Good golly, when did he get so strong? Ms. Red kept up the summoning pressure, and in the end, the final blow was dealt by Odin and his Gunge Lance. And that's it. Disc 1 complete. Genova finishes Sephiroth's statement, "Because you are a puppet." And now, there's the sad scene where Mr. Green lays Ms. Yellow's body to rest in the pool outside. We lost by far our most valuable party member. I think I feel her loss more this time around than ever before. Mr. Green once again doubts that he is to be trusted, but decides he has to go deal with Sephiroth either way. So, the journey must go on, to the north beyond the snowfields, to the Promised Land. Only they can stop Sephiroth from calling Meteor. And even in this version of the game, which is digital and updated for modern hardware, it still gives an act break here, calling it the end of Part 1. So I'll be taking that lead and ending the video here too, since this one went on way too long anyway. Thanks for watching. Next time I'll be starting Disc 2 and heading through the snowy northern lands towards Sephiroth. You won't want to miss it, as there are even more dangerous bosses and tricky segments coming up, which will be extra challenging without yellow or purple materia. I'll see you in a couple weeks when the next part drops. Have a great day!